Hi, I'm Jess Harris, and thanks for joining us on today's episode of Industry Tidbits. Today we're talking about important questions owners might not be asking in project interviews. Let's build on this.
Welcome to Industry Tidbits with our host, Jess Harris, your go-to resource for today, tomorrow, and the future.
Hi, and thanks again for joining us. Today we have two guests. Our first guest is Ray Caruso from CE Floyd. He's in his 19th year in his role as BD manager at CE Floyd. Hi, Ray.
Good morning. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And we also have John Kellar. He is the owner of Kellar Associates, a company that provides owners construction project manager services. And he's worked a lot with CE Floyd in the past. So, John, it's great to see you again. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, nice to be here with my friends. So, just briefly, I ran a family general contracting business for about 25 years, and then back in the 90s, I saw an opportunity to be a support to projects and got into the construction consulting business and had a great time doing it for the last 20-something years.
Awesome. So let's jump into this. We're talking today just about educating people on what are the best questions to ask in an interview. But first, let's jump back a little bit and talk about what are your concerns when starting a job?
Sure. When starting a job, have we done all the proper work to know the contractor or construction manager that we are looking to select and get started with this important project for our client?
If I can jump in, I think that there's always, and I'm going to echo what John said, the key is that you begin with the proper team. And the team is, of course, the owner project manager, the architect, the CMGC, and, of course, the subcontractor. So that whole team has to work together because in our business, there's always specific project challenges to be solved. It's a problem-solving business. No matter how well the project is conceived and designed and produced, it always needs help along the way. And I think owners, in my opinion, they primarily want to know that the general contractor has a realistic budget and schedule. And that's so important. And then looking at from the CMGC side, I think there's no question that we want to make sure that the client that we're working for is organized and ready to make and facilitate decisions throughout the process of the project.
Yeah, what I try and guide an owner with is that the part that Ray just said is that timeliness of all your decisions and your selections aids tremendously in the smoothness and the outcome of a project being successful for everybody. I call it for the team, for the project.
Right. And then what gives you the most joy or satisfaction on a project, John?
Well, having a team, one, that I can just count on and trust completely, that the owner feels the same way about, that communication has been, so there's no guesswork going on. That's the joy, because now the stress level has gone down.
Right. I think John's right on target, no question. Creating a plan of attack early in the job and seeing that the team executes the plan and delivers the project with a high level of success. Now, we can talk a little bit about our successes working with John as an example on the Spencer Brewery. And John and I can let you know that project went along famously with regard to, was a difficult project because it was a unique project. And I'll let John add a little bit, but we had to take equipment that came from Germany and from Italy and pull it all together with local subcontractors.
On top of that, we had people from Italy and Europe and Germany doing the installations of that equipment. And I think at one point we had 7 nationalities working on the job at one time. And we finished on time. We finished on budget. Some change orders, of course, and we got to do some extras on that job because of what Floyd had done, which was to do a good job in their buyout, manage their contingency, and we could release some contingency for the owner to do some added important items in the facility. Honesty, trust, high level of competency with a contractor, and just a joy to work with.
Now, John, you just mentioned contingency, so that brings me to our next question, which is...
Could I just add one more thing, Jess, if I could, to the end of that? I think the key on that satisfaction is that the team is proud of the final product, and that the true purpose of the project is realized. We have done other projects working with John and others on educational type projects, and our superintendents get involved early on sometimes with the lower children in some of the lower grades, putting on examples of strength in block and strength in little sessions that have gone over very, very well, creating a little laboratory that the children could benefit from and learning. It's quite a nice process.
Definitely. John, this brings me to our next question. You mentioned contingency before. So in the context of a GMP contract agreement, are you very reluctant to use the construction contingency amount to solve issues, or are you willing and proactive to use it?
Well, it depends on how what the issue is. I'm used to contractors saying, "Hey, listen, that's a small change or a conflict," and they often will just cover it in their contingency, which is for their use, rather than the owner take it out of their contingency. But with good communication, everybody sits and talks about what's the best way to use this, how are we doing on the job. With conflicts, small or easy to let the contractor offer to take them on. Big ones, that's not usually their fault.
From a construction manager GC role, I think we're not reluctant as long as we've been involved in the GMP early on in pre-construction and in estimating and planning. But we're also proactive with its use. It can be used to improve the schedule early, and there are a few trades on site. We can bank some days for future issues that are always arising and impact the schedule. So those are kinds of things that are important. The contingency is not to cover up added scope. I think John will tell you that. It's for scope challenges on the project, and any remaining unused amount should not be really surrendered until the project is probably 95% complete, so that you can make sure that it's used wisely. It's a special GMP line item cost that really can improve job conditions throughout the project.
Yeah, I want to add to that. I've seen that before. Is that when a contractor comes to us and said, like Ray said, we can improve on the schedule, so I want to use some contingency. Well, the small amount for say overtime work to improve on the schedule far outweighs the savings for general conditions for an extra month or two on a job at $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month, and that brightens the picture for the owner when they can see the pluses and minuses. Especially like on that brewery job, we had some deadlines to meet. They only meet 4 times a year to approve the brew, and that was our biggest deadline, meeting a quarterly dates that we had in front of us. And so having some overtime and everybody chipping in, that way the monastery didn't have to wait another 4 months or 3 months to get approved to get beer out of in production.
And for CMs to be good stewards or managers of that specific cost line item in the budget, that's a key.
Yes.
Right. And then kind of switching gears a little bit, John, can you tell us a little bit about what owners do that really cause conflict, which maybe we could avoid by doing ourselves?
Well, I'm going to go back to one of our first comments, is making timely decisions, being prepared to to make the color choices, make the product decisions, and not hold up change orders. Change orders, some of them have to be decided on the spot. You can't have an owner that's holding back, because then it costs money daily and weekly. And, whatever it is, $1,000, $2,000 a day on some jobs, and they wait 2 weeks, and it could be critical path item. They just need to make good decisions. Some of the best jobs I've seen in my 50-year career, I think of one that was a very nice home I did. I had everything picked before I put a shovel in the ground. I finished a $5 million home in 13 months. I had everything decided. And I use that as an example for any of the type of work we work on. Get the decision made. And it goes to the architect too, needing to move quickly and present things to an owner so that they have time to decide. Sometimes it takes a committee. Some of the schools, they want people to look at the colors and so forth, or the furniture. So that's a big one.
I'll echo John's comments about timely decisions and the owner can't take sides rather than promoting collaboration. Starting with unrealistic goals or false parameters, if an owner does that and they don't require the building to be completed on time, for instance, because they've given the wrong dates, that doesn't help the team. The teamwork and keeping the project goals in mind are the key to the project success.
Right. And moving on a little bit to talk about architects, John, what do they do? And this is kind of a controversial question, but what do they do during the course of a job that really gets under your skin?
If you have an architectural design team that's not able to do timely approvals of submittals, there are things that come along, and we always ask the contractor to, in a submittal process, I need to get these out quickly. The rest of this submittal I don't need. And having an architect engineering team jump on that, knowing that it's not going to be all the time. I think the biggest conflict is getting timely answers from the architect design team. And sometimes it's just the way they are, or they're just very busy. But when they can step up and make a decision so we can keep things going and not hold up something like a steel order or whatever it is, that's huge.
Right.
So true.
And then
and the RFI process throughout that as well. And the other thing I think I've learned over the years is that we have to work there's no question it's teamwork, but an architect can't be combative rather than being helpful. We know that the architect has vision, but if they do the details with vision with no ability to translate the design details on the drawing, that creates issues and overcomplicating details. Sometimes architectural firms who have a lot on their plate delegate to junior architects, and that in a way does not help the process and the flow of making sure that things get accomplished. So team goals on behalf of the owner are paramount.
Yeah. I want to say something about that too. The best architects are ones who come to the job site and they have a good relationship with the superintendent and the project manager, and they have a problem. First of all, the CM and their team have solutions that they can present, show the architect and the engineers how they see this working so that they can then approve, and put the thumbprint on that change or that decision. And that's really working together tremendously. And it's tough for a young professional to come to a job site unless they've literally worked in the field and understand it. So it's not their fault, but it's tough for them to jump in and not know what's going on yet because they haven't been there yet. I've been there too.
Definitely. And so this brings us to our final topic of discussion. So, John, can you give us some examples of conflicts that you've had on previous projects and tell us how you went about solving them?
Well, I had one. I was overseeing the Toms of Maine's new facility up in Sanford, Maine, and we were renovating a 110,000-foot facility to bring a lot of their operation under one roof or in one area. And the goal was that we had 5 months to get the new place in operation, and then we could shut down the old plant in Kennebunk and bring over the mixer to be the second mixer. 1 week into the job, the old plant burned down, and we had 5 weeks to put stock on the shelves at Walmart, Rite Aid, and one other place. Otherwise, they were going to lose the accounts. And we actually sent trucks out of the loading dock in 5 weeks with temporary boilers and steam plants and water systems. And the conflict was more keeping people happy with what they were doing, because people were standing on each other. They were starting to argue a lot. And the role I did was I made decisions so that you can go first. It's okay that you're going to go second. We're going to be okay. And by giving them that confidence and that leadership, we delivered in 5 weeks. We also had another couple of months' work to go back and repipe and put in permanent piping and stuff like that. But to answer your question, was really helping people feel comfortable to do what they're doing. I've had a couple of jobs that had conflicts like that, and we still delivered.
I can talk a little bit about some of the things that C.E. Floyd's been through. And we stated in the prior question, one of the conflicts is maybe the architect's details are either not adequate or they're overcomplicated. And at C.E. Floyd, what we've done in the past is hire a third-party consultant, an engineering firm, to produce some shop drawings that would be for approval, but that helped make the details more buildable. And that's a key, because it keeps the progress of the job flowing and more complete and more functional. And all without taking the responsibility of the design, but it really adds a new dimension to make sure that we can move the project along.
Yeah, that's a valuable tool that people do too. It's like a millwork shop drawing. They do the shop drawing so that the architect can approve the details. Well, it applies to everything on the job too. So that's an excellent thing that a contractor does, and meet their schedule and deliver the end project with the quality that's needed.
I'm just saying, there are a lot, like we said earlier, this is a problem-solving business. There are a lot of issues on projects, and we all have to work together to find ways to keep the timely schedule going, keep the costs in line, but yet produce a quality product.
So this has been, honestly, we could probably make this a whole nother episode on this is such a solid topic that I feel like applies to so many people, and so many people can learn from this. But I just want to talk about our takeaways from this for people who want to take some of this advice and bring it back to work with them. So the first thing I think, John, is communicate regularly and honestly. Build and maintain that trust. If that trust is diminished, rebuild it so everyone wants to give their best and be proud of their efforts and feel truly appreciated. The second thing, consider how you operate now and where you can improve the success of your projects. And then finally, make decisions and selections earlier rather than later. Your due diligence will help you select the right firm, and hopefully everyone will be happy. So thanks for being here, John and Ray. John, if anyone wants to reach out to you to have a conversation further on this topic, what's the best way to reach you?
They could call me at 617-594-6736, or they could email me, and it's jkellar, Kellar, at KellarAssociates.com.
Awesome.
And I welcome calls or questions.
Definitely. So that's all the time we have for today, and I just want to thank you both for being here. And like I said, feel free to reach out to John if you want to have a further conversation. But that's all we have for today's Industry Tidbits. Thank you.
Thanks, Val. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.